Okay, so we're going to look at the first section, which is 3.1, and we have Caesar and Cleopatra. This is where we have two items that we're going to either distribute pieces or we're going to merge pieces. So with Caesar and Cleopatra, remember the first step of this process is to look at who bid what, right? They have 100 points each, and they allocate how many points or weights that they want to add to each. Caesar has a 30 and Cleopatra has a 20 on the port of Alexandria. We've got a tie here, so we're going to hold off on that. Legion of soldiers, Caesar bid 50, Cleopatra bid 40. Exotic poisons, Cleopatra bid on that. So now we're going to do an initial sum to find our initial winner and our initial loser. So we've got 80 and 20. So now I'm going to look at the tie items. So the palace, excuse me, if that palace is given to Cleopatra and I add 20, she's still an initial loser. So we can go ahead and give that away, and I'm going to circle the palace for Cleopatra. At this point, I need to do the ratios and see if, starting from the lowest ratio item to the highest ratio item, is there anything that I can move, and as a result of moving it, it will keep Caesar as my original winner. All right, let's look at ratios. All right, so Port of Alexandria, and with this, I'm only looking at the winner side of information. I'm not pulling anything from the loser side. So the port is one of them that Caesar has. 30 is Caesar's share, and then Cleopatra had 20 on hers. The soldiers, he had 50 and she had 40. So when we do those ratios, we get 1.5 and we get 1.25. So the soldiers is the smaller of the two. Now, if I gain 40 to hers, she'll be at 80, and that would mean I would have to lose 50 from here, which would make him a loser. So we can't shift anything. So what we're going to do is set up an equation to split this. So it is the soldiers that we're going to split. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight my Legion of Soldiers and then put my variables right up here. This might be the easiest way to handle this. All right, so my winner gets X, my loser gets 1 minus X. So given those pieces, I'm going to build my equation with exactly as I read down each person. So Caesar's side would be 30 plus 50X, and Cleopatra's side would be 20 plus 20 plus 40 times 1 minus X. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute that 40 across this first. And while I do that, I'm also going to add these two together. So that becomes 40. And then 40 times 1 is 40 minus 40x is equal to 30 plus 50x. Add these two together, I get 80 minus 40x is equal to 30 plus 50x. Going to add 40x to both sides. 30 plus 80x equals 80. And then I'm going to subtract 30 from both sides. So I apologize. I just made a mistake there. This isn't 80x, this is 90x. 40 plus 50 is 90. There we go. So then we have 90x equals 50. And then divide both sides by 90. And then x equals 50 over 90. But we're going to go ahead and get rid of those zeros. So 5/9. So Caesar gets 5/9 of the soldiers. And then we have to figure out 1 minus x. There's two ways you can do this. You can just do 9 over 9 minus the 5 over 9 that we just solved for. That gives us 4 over 9. Or you just look at the 5/9 and count how many do I need to be whole, right? So you can easily count 4 on that. So I know what my x is and I know what my 1 minus x is. So now let's make our list of who gets what, right? So I have Caesar. He gets the port of Alexandria, and then he also gets 5/9 of the Legion of Soldiers. And then Cleopatra, excuse me, she gets the palace, the poisons, and then she gets 4/9 of the soldiers. Okay, so that is that process. This will be a quiz next week. We'll talk a little bit more in class about it, but at this point, what you need to be doing is finishing the Naster inheritance model that's on the back of your sheet.